Every night you elevate your feet. You wear the compression socks. You drink your water like you're supposed to. And by evening, your ankles are still puffed up, your feet are still cold, and your calves still ache the second you sit down. Here's what nobody's told you. None of that means something's broken. There's one specific muscle in your body that's supposed to handle this automatically. And after 60, it quietly stops doing its job. Once you know which muscle it is, the fix takes about 90 seconds. I'm going to show you the single most effective version of it right now, before anything else. And here's a number that should stop you cold. A 2022 study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed over 1,700 adults and found that people who couldn't balance on one leg for just 10 seconds had an 84% higher risk of dying in the years that followed. Among adults in their early 70s, fewer than half could even pass that test. That's not about swollen ankles anymore. That's about how long you live, and it connects directly to the same muscle we're about to talk about. If you want health information explained the way it should be, clearly, honestly, and without anything left out, subscribe and tap like. That is how King Vital Years reaches more people who need this. Today I'm going to show you the single most effective move for cold feet and swollen ankles, explain the muscle behind it that doctors call your second heart, and walk you through 4 supporting moves that fill in what walking alone can't do. Stay with me. Let's not save the best part for later. Here it is right now. Stand behind a sturdy chair or kitchen counter. Rest your hands lightly on it for balance. Feet about hip width apart. Slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as feels comfortable. Now, this is the part almost everyone skips. Hold it at the top for 3 to 5 seconds. Breathe normally. Then lower back down slowly, taking about 3 seconds on the way down. That's 1 repetition. Start with 8. Build up to 15 to 20 over a few weeks. This is called a standing calf pump hold, and it's the single most effective way to move blood out of your lower legs and back toward your heart. Everything else in this video supports this one move, but to understand why it works, you need to meet the muscle behind it. Your calf muscle has a nickname among doctors, your second heart. Here's why. Think of the veins running up your lower leg like a long, narrow water tank standing on its end, with gravity constantly pulling everything back down toward your feet. Every time your calf tightens, it squeezes that tank and physically pushes blood upward against gravity back toward your chest. Tiny one-way valves inside those veins snap shut behind each push so the blood can't fall back down. That's the pump. That's your second heart, working every time you take a step. After 60, 3 things happen to that pump at once. The vein walls get weaker and stretchier. The little valves start to leak, and the calf muscle itself shrinks and loses power, especially if you spend a lot of your day sitting, which most of us do. So the pump slows down. Blood stalls at your ankles instead of climbing. Swelling gets worse. Feet get colder. And the less you move, the weaker the pump gets, which makes you move even less. It's a slow, quiet spiral, and a lot of people are somewhere on it without realizing it. You can try this right now while you're watching. Press a finger into your shin or ankle for a few seconds, then let go. If it leaves a dent that takes a moment to bounce back, that's a sign fluid is pooling, worth paying attention to, not panicking about. Here's the part that surprises most people. Fixing this doesn't depend on your step count. It depends on specific movements that physically push blood back up where it belongs. And walking on its own barely switches the pump on. You're only on one foot for a split second before stepping onto the other. Your calf never gets a full, sustained squeeze out of it. Quick note here, because a lot of you already wear compression socks, and you should keep wearing them if your doctor recommended them. But here's what socks actually do versus what they don't. Compression socks apply steady, passive pressure from the outside. They help stop blood from pooling in the first place. What they can't do is actively contract and pump blood upward the way your calf muscle can. Think of it like the difference between a garden hose that's been squeezed tight versus a hose with an actual pump pushing water through it. The sock manages the problem. The muscle moves the blood. That's why people who faithfully wear their socks and still have cold feet at night are usually missing the other half of the equation, the muscle work. Let me tell you about someone whose story shows exactly how this plays out. Harold Benning, 69, retired mail carrier from Scottsdale, Arizona. Every evening around 6 o'clock, his ankles would swell enough that his shoes felt tight, and his feet stayed cold in bed even in July. He walked every single day, a mile, sometimes more, and couldn't understand why it wasn't helping. The problem wasn't effort. It was that walking was never the right tool for this particular job. What changed for Harold is really the point of this whole video, and I'll come back to his story in a few minutes. Now, let's get into the 4 supporting moves. Each one does something the calf pump hold alone can't. Move 2, ankle pumps. Sit with feet flat on the floor. Lift your toes toward your shins, heels planted. Then reverse. Press toes down, lift heels, like slowly easing onto a gas pedal. Slow and controlled. 20 to 30 repetitions, 2 or 3 times a day. This is often the very first movement given to patients right after leg surgery, before they're even allowed to stand, because it keeps blood from pooling while lying still. You can do this at your desk, at the dinner table, watching television. It costs nothing and needs no space. Move 3, seated leg lifts. Sit tall, back firmly against a chair, feet flat. Slowly straighten one leg out in front of you. Hold for 2 seconds, then lower it slowly. Don't let it drop. 10 to 15 repetitions per leg. This fires the big muscles in your thigh and hip, which press against the larger veins running up through your leg. These are also the exact muscles you use to stand up from a chair or catch yourself from a stumble. So this move does double duty, circulation, and fall prevention at once. Move 4, supported calf raises. Same setup as the number 1 move, but without the long hold. Just rise onto your toes, pause for 2 to 3 seconds, then lower slowly over 3 seconds. Start with 10, build up to 20 to 25. This is the bridge between the ankle work and the full standing hold, and it trains balance at the same time as circulation. Move 5, single leg stance hold. Stand near a counter, one hand ready for support. Shift your weight onto one leg. Lift the other foot just an inch off the floor and hold for 20 to 30 seconds, breathing normally. 2 rounds per side. This is the move connected to that 84% statistic I mentioned at the start. And here's why it matters more than it looks. A 2022 study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed more than 1,700 adults and found that people unable to hold a single leg stance for just 10 seconds had a significantly higher risk of death in the years that followed, 84% higher, to be exact. And among adults in their early 70s in that study, fewer than half could pass it. Here's the connection to circulation specifically. Standing on one leg forces your calf, ankle, hip, and core to contract continuously, keeping the pump running the entire time, in a way walking never asked it to. It's not just a balance test. It's a full-body circulation workout, disguised as one. You can try this right now while you're watching. Stand near something sturdy, lift one foot slightly, and see how long you can hold it before needing support. However long that was, that's your starting point, not a verdict. It improves with practice, often quickly. How old are you? Leave your age in the comments below. It genuinely shapes what I cover next and helps me make these videos more useful for exactly where you are. Now, back to Harold. I had him stop worrying about his daily step count and instead do these 5 movements, about 12 minutes total, once a day. Ankle pumps first thing in the morning, leg lifts and calf raises while his coffee brewed, balance holds, and the standing calf pump hold in the evening. I'll be straight with you. His circulation didn't turn into a 30-year-old's overnight, and I'd never promised that. But within a few weeks, his ankles weren't ballooning by dinner time anymore. His feet were warmer at night. And the thing he said mattered most, he stopped feeling unsteady getting up off the couch. He felt steady again. Before we go further, one important thing, and I want to say this clearly, not as a throwaway line. If you ever get sudden, severe pain in one leg, or a leg suddenly turns pale, cold, or numb, or you notice a sore on your foot or ankle that won't heal, don't try to exercise your way through it. See a doctor right away, the same day if possible. Those symptoms can point to a seriously blocked artery, and that is an emergency, not a home routine situation. Everything in this video is built for everyday, chronic circulation concerns, not sudden crises. Knowing that difference matters as much as any exercise I've shown you. Now let's talk about why these 5 moves work together, not separately, because that's the piece most routines get wrong. Think of your circulation system like a series of small pumping stations along a pipeline, each one responsible for pushing water a little further up the line. Your calf is the biggest, most powerful station. But if the stations below and around it, your ankles, your thighs, your hips, aren't contributing, the whole pipeline works harder than it needs to, and the fluid backs up at the weakest point. That's exactly what shows up as a swollen ankle by dinner time. Ankle pumps activate the smallest, gentlest station, safe for almost anyone, even right after surgery. Seated leg lifts activate the thigh and hip station, which handles the largest veins in your leg. Supported calf raisers train the calf station without asking for a long, sustained hold yet. And the single leg stance forces every station to fire at once, continuously, for the entire hold. The standing calf pump hold, the move I opened this video with, is the main event, the strongest, most erect pump in the whole system. But it works best when the smaller stations around it are already switched on. That's why all 5 moves matter, not just the first one. A 2025 review in the Journal of Orthopedic Surgery and Research, pooling 16 control trials, found that structured ankle and calf pumping programs meaningfully improved circulation markers in older adults. Separately, a randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Vascular Surgery found calf-raised programs improved walking distance and reduced symptoms in people with circulation concerns. This isn't a home remedy pieced together from guesswork. It's the same category of movement physical therapists already use in clinical settings, simplified for home use. Let's bring this together. Cold feet and swollen ankles after 60 usually aren't a sign that something's broken. They're a sign your calf, your body's second heart, has slowed down. Compression socks and walking help manage the problem, but they don't actively pump blood the way targeted movement does. 5 moves, about 12 minutes total. Fill that gap. The standing calf pump hold, ankle pumps, seated leg lifts, supported calf raises, and the single leg stance hold. The same one tied to that 84% mortality statistic from the British Journal of Sports Medicine. Here's what to do tonight. Step 1. Try the standing calf pump hold right now. 8 slow repetitions, holding at the top for 3 to 5 seconds each time. Step 2. Test your single leg stance and note how many seconds you can hold it. That's your baseline to build from. Step 3. If you noticed dented skin during the finger press test earlier, or you had swelling that doesn't improve overnight, bring it up at your next doctor's visit specifically. Step 4. Remember the warning signs. Sudden severe leg pain, a leg turning pale or numb, or a sore that won't heal. Those mean call a doctor immediately, not exercise through it. If you've been walking every day and still dealing with cold feet or swollen ankles, that's worth a real conversation with your healthcare provider, not something to keep pushing through alone. Everything covered today is for educational purposes only. Your health picture is specific to you. And the most useful thing you can do with this information is bring it to a doctor who knows your full history, not replace that conversation with a YouTube video. If this gave you something your doctor never had time to explain, subscribe to King Vital Years. Hit like so this reaches more people who need it. And tell me in the comments, which move are you starting with tonight? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video.